You don't have a team, actually you have a dependence, you have a support. So most CXO, CEO, leaders, organization get into this trap of misunderstanding that they have a great team uh, and they are. So this podcast is going to give you a reality check that you don't have a team, you just have a support system or you just have a dependency. Okay. Let me tell you the distinction or difference between this what is the support system and what is a team. A support system will actually give you, or you will see the symptoms like support system will look for instructions. A support system will ask what is to be done. Support system will ask you, will only do the task which they give it to them. It will only try to optimize the task or boundaries which you set. Most of the time support system will give you, their role, they will only stop where the role ends. Okay. On the contrary, when you have a team, your team will take the ownership and not, also along with the outcome. Whereas the team will take the ownership of the outcome. Next, it will act within the defined intent. Proactively, it will try to close all gaps, irrespective of their roles or their boundaries. It will optimize for better results and better output. And cross boundary is going to happen. The delivery is going to happen. They will not get restricted only between the departments. So these are a big, huge difference between a support team or dependency or actual team. Okay. So the differentiation is very. The difference isn't the skill, it's the culture. The culture is the leadership choice. Now you decide whether you have a huge team, so-called, but actually they are support system. So when you stop, they stop. All things comes and boils down to you. Now on my next point, I'm going to talk on this point, that how this can be, you will be able to figure out. Looking for a diagnosis of this problem, there are 3 questions you should ask to figure out the problem. One is, if everybody is asking that, what should I do? Then the problem is there's a huge dependency and there's no situation judgment, is always waiting for the task allocation. So once you give a task and they are going to do it, which means they're dependent on you. So this gives you a very clarity that you don't have a team, you have a support system. Second is it okay when they come for such thing? No, is this okay? Sir, if you allow me this, is this okay? Guide me. This gives you a very clear indication that validations is important, which means the confidence to act is less and constant approval seeking culture is in your organization. Very clear. The third one is that, can I proceed? Again, it's a permission dependency, which means authority is not built. There's no clarity on authority and execution, and the top executive are the bottleneck, or the bosses are the bottleneck for all the things which comes down to them. So in each question is actually a signal, okay? And together they becomes a cultural failure, and that is the reason you have a huge team but they're not performing. So this dependency costs you, and they cost you in a big way. It's 2x the slower decision making. Around 60% is the reason why Gallup is saying the people quit, which is you are not empowering people to act on it. They feel uncomfortable, they don't feel growth is there, they don't feel power in them, they don't feel responsible enough, or everything. So that's the reason 60%, 68% Gallup study says that people leave because of this most important lacuna in the system. The third one is that of CXO's time. So most of the time leaders are doing other people's job. Leaders are taking decisions which their team should be doing. Okay. And the last is profit and loss, which is very viable impact, which is a slower execution means slower growth, which means slower revenue is equal to slower leakages. So it says that culture is strategy for breakfast by Peter Drucker. So here what is happening? The dependency is the culture symptom. It doesn't correct, if it doesn't self-correct, it just compounds. And if you don't have this in the organization, if you see these questions are coming from your team, definitely you don't have a team, you just have a support system, and that is not going to help you in the long run. Okay. So these are invisible to leaders generally, and that's the reason CXO don't see it actually, and nobody gets coached because ownership is not taught in the induction time, and no KRA can measure it, and also performance review generally miss such things in an organization. So this is most important. Next is, it looks very diligent, but people ask before acting, double checking everything, and leaders see that they're very disciplined. Actually, it's not discipline, it's just dependency, and everything comes down to you, and you have to wait, and you have to give instruction, you have to approve, you have to do everything. This is not how an organization will work in long term, or even if it works, it will not get scaled. So these are a few things. And the last one is, okay, so another point is that self-correct. It doesn't, if the team is not self-correcting, which means the founder is solving all the problem, founders or the leaders or the department head is solving all the problem, and which the team is building, which means definitely you don't have a team, you have a dependency, or you have a support system. So if you want to come out of this, if you want to figure out what is wrong and how this can be solved, quickly it can come out. And this is not an HR issue, it's a culture issue. So we at TDF Consulting, we have been doing this for a long time. We use AI, we use automations, we use finding out tonality, behavior, cultural gap, will skill gap, to figure out how your organization can come quickly out of this, and you can you can build a better team. And this thing doesn't come out of just training. This thing doesn't come out of just doing workshop outside office. Or so this is a culture, and culture always takes time. But if you really know what are stoppings, what are the things which stops your culture, is going to be the greatest advantage in organization. I hope it helps you, and I hope you will now ask your team these 3 questions which I just now said. Then you will figure out whether you have a team or you have just a support system which you think they are team. Now, how we fix this? We fix this by doing only 3 things. One is diagnosis of the ownership audit, number 1. We use AI and other stuff to do a deep research to figure out what is the ownership gap. Second is design, cultural blueprint. And the third one is deployment, which is, coached, enabling all these things into the system. The first one, when I say about diagnosis, is that we try to figure out a map every role for ownership versus the task execution ratio. So this is a gap we try to figure out through the audit. Second is identifying the escalation pattern and decision bottleneck. Number 3, benchmark each revenue with attrition data. This is the diagnosis pillar. Second pillar is design. Redefine every role with outcome, ownership, and not task list. Okay. Second is build accountability ownership framework and decision right. Third is redesign feedback loop between leaders and the team. This will give you a very great simple clarity that your team is working like a dependency support system, and not actual meaning of definition meaning of a team. And the third one is deployment, which is CXO coaching versus enabling, or CXO coaching versus the control of the leadership, how much you are giving control or how much they are able to do it. Second is team high level ownership induction workshop. This is a third one which comes at a very later stage. And the last stage is 30, 60 and 90 days measurement of all these things and how you're performing. So we use such activities, such design methodology to figure out, to convert your team into your so-called team or your support system or your dependency into your proper team culture. So if you are struggling, get back to us. We can help you. Thank you so much.